Settling is not an option for me. Everything I desire is already mine. What if you can have it all? Because every day is for the girls.
Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of For the Girls. I'm your host, Victoria Alario. And today we have a very exciting guest, Natalee Linez, aka Lydia from Tell Me Lies. You girls know how much I just love that show. So this was very exciting for me, and it should be very exciting for you because you're crazy if you are not as obsessed with Tell Me Lies as I am. And we have Natalee on because she kept coming up on my For You page on TikTok. Her videos were always popping up, and they really stood out to me because she's doing something that I have never seen an actor do. She is creating content around the reality of her career and the audition processes, like the total inside scoop and behind the scenes type stuff. And mindset work. She's really into all of that. She even does mentorship. She offers a mentorship program where she gives guidance for those pursuing an acting career. And I feel like, let me make that clear. That's not acting coaching, Like I feel like we've heard about acting coaches so many times, but not ever acting mentorship in regards to how to navigate the career and going through the trials and tribulations and the ups and downs. And not to mention, yes, we do hear about acting coaches, but said coaches are always people who don't actually act. They're not people that you see on TV. So Natalee's popping up for me with all this type of content and insight. And this is a girl that I am watching on what I would think is the biggest show on Hulu. Like, I was just so impressed. And then I went to her social media and I saw that she has all these ways that you could just hit her up, for guidance and coaching. It was just so amazing to me. So I had to reach out and hear more about her and what she does. And I am so glad that I did because this episode is so value packed, so insightful. I learned so much because what do I know about, the TV and film industry, the acting career? I know nothing. So I learned a lot from hearing about her. The episode is broken up in pretty much like two parts. The beginning, like the first half, is all about Natalee's personal journey with this career and all the behind the scenes stuff of being a working actor, including the not so glamorous stuff and also just really great mindset stuff. Like I said, she's really big into that. She's huge into mindfulness and vision boards. So there's great tips and pointers there that you could apply to honestly any career, even if you have no interest in being an actor. It's things that we talk about and say here all the time on For the Girls. So that stuff is really cool. And then in the latter half, the second half of the episode, we really dive into Tell Me Lies and her experience on that show specifically. And it's just so much fun. So I think you girls are just going to love this episode as much as I did. And of course, you can watch the episode on YouTube if you want to see us have the conversation rather than just listen to it. And the link to that YouTube video will be in the show notes for easy access. Also, important to note before we get into the episode, if you are listening in real time in November 2024, the Black Friday and Cyber Monday deal for the Queens of Confidence program is officially live. This is huge. Actual huge. We're talking 60% huge. So if you have been thinking about getting my signature digital coaching program, it is 60% off this week only. It ends December 2nd, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm giving specifics in case you're listening in the future. So if you're listening right now, November 25th, 2024, it begins December 2nd, 2024. It ends at night. And I promise you will never get the program lower than this. So now is the time to grab it. And also for easy, immediate access, the link to the program is in the show notes. So run and grab it while it's 60% off for a very limited time. Now, let's get into the episode. Okay, everyone, please welcome Natalee to For the Girls. I am so excited. Introduce yourself to the girls and tell us all about what you do.
Hey, girls. Thanks for having me on, Victoria. I'm Natalee. I think that most of you probably know me as an actor. I'm on a little show called Tell Me Lies on Hulu. I'm also on other things as well, but that's my most recent show. Actually, Chicago PD is also a recent one that just aired that I'm currently filming. But I mean, where do you want me to start? I don't know.
Let's
Yeah.
start by backing up first because I want to hear about your background and your journey. Like, how did you end up even in this position of becoming an actor? Did you grow up in theater? Did you pick it up later on? Just paint the full picture for us.
Yeah. So I knew I wanted to be an actor since I was like 6 years old. I would tell my mom that I wanted to do this. And we lived in Orange County, which is just a couple hours south of LA. What?
Are you going to say that you grew up watching The OC and loved The OC?
No, I didn't grow up watching it. I'm from there.
No, you're from there, but did you watch the O
I
like did
I did not. I did never. I watched Laguna Beach.
no, but the OC, like you
I
know the
know.
OC,
I know. Adam
like
Brody,
Misha
right?
Barton, yeah, like
No.
oh, you almost just gave me a heart attack when you said the OC. I'm like, oh my god, because that like I that stop, I can't. Let me not get ahead of myself,
Are
but
you
that is
wait, so are you a the OC stan? Like you
oh my
love
god, Stan. Like okay, so my maybe I was in the second or third grade when it came out. Like this is
Yeah, exactly.
20 something years ago. Never miss an episode. Watch it every week. Have every to this day I have all the DVDs. You remember how like shows
Victoria,
used to come out on DVD?
we're the same age. When I was in second grade, I was obsessed with SpongeBob. Like
No. Mm-mm.
die hard. Sheets, birthday parties, bounce houses, cakes,
No.
napkins, plates, utensils, SpongeBob, everything.
No, I was in the second grade with our family computer in the living room. You know how everyone had the one big computer that would
L.
like dial up? Yeah, in the
Yeah.
living room on Zillow, showing my parents houses in Orange County, being like,
Uh-uh.
it's not that much. Let's go. I wanted to be in, I felt like if I could get there, I would like be in the show. Like I
I'm
was
dying.
obsessed
If
with
I
Ben
could just
McKenzie, Adam
get
Brody.
there.
Oh my god, so I'm okay, so I am jealous that you grew
I
up
lived your
in the
dream
art.
life
You
as a
did.
second
Oh my
grader.
god, I'm so jealous. So I'm very sorry, but keep going. You grew up in Orange County
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
wanted to be an actor at 6 years old.
At 6
Proceed.
years old. Yeah, proceed. I had never seen the OC, but I don't know what it was. So I knew once I got older and stuff and was watching Disney Channel, I was really drawn to like what they were doing on there. You know, I'm like, what is this? I want to do this. Selena Gomez, Wizards of Waverly Place, Hannah Montana, Switched at Birth, Pretty Little Liars, like whatever I need to do to get there, I will do it one day. But I didn't know how because my mom like was super supportive verbally, but she wasn't a stage mom. Like she wasn't going to drive me 2 hours to LA for a 2 minute audition. And also she's very Orange County housewife. Like she just wasn't her. She didn't know what to do, where to start. But she was always like, yeah, yeah, like love that for you, sweetie. So growing up, I would sign up for theater at school because that was like an elective. And I would walk in and I would look around and I would be like, wait, this is so not what I want to do. Like, who are these people? They don't feel like my people. What is going on? And so I would instantly, every single year, sign up for theater, walk in, and then sign up for a different elective, being like TV broadcast journalism or something else, a different elective. And I was like, why is this happening? Like, I know I want to act. So I graduated high school at 17, junior year, because I took the GED, graduated a year early to get out of high school due to like so much bullying and stuff. And I was like, I know I like was kind of an old soul. I knew that that high school wasn't life. You know what I mean? I was like, I want to get out of here. I already know what I want to do with my life. So graduated and then I still had to stay in Orange County because I didn't have enough money to like move yet to LA. So I worked as a bagger at Albertsons. Do you guys have
What is that? A
Albertsons?
grocery store?
Yeah, grocery
Okay,
store.
no, we don't have it, but I assumed, yeah.
Yes. From like 16 to 18. And then I worked as a server at Buffalo Wild Wings. And during that time, I signed up for a community college during the day because I did love school. I just didn't love high school. And there was an acting for TV and film class, which I'm speaking at next week, actually, um, with Maria Mayenzet, she used to be in soap operas, but she was a TV and film star. And so I walk into this class and we're reading scripts and we're working with cameras. We're working with the director class doing scenes. And I'm like, oh my God, here's the thing that I want to do. Like, this is the thing. It's not theater, reading plays. I've honestly, like, I haven't read that. I've maybe read 2 plays. Whereas I think a lot of actors, like, theater's fucking amazing and I love going to watch plays, and I lived in New York for a year and I saw Wicked for the first time and I saw brilliant Broadway shows, but it's just not what I wanted to do. And I quickly learned that they were very different, and it was okay, because I like felt shame for a while of like, ooh, why don't I like this theater thing? Why aren't I a theater kid? And then I just owned it and I was like, no, TV and film is different. It's way more intimate with the camera versus a huge audience. And so I kind of just instantly fell into that and never ended up doing anything theater based. And I took that class with Maria and saved up from doing some working at Buffalo Wild Wings, as well as I did e-commerce modeling, which I buried and never talk about. But I did like 3 years of modeling. I would email companies when I was like 19 and be like, hey, here's my height and my weight and a couple photos of me, because no modeling agency would sign me because I'm 5'6", and honestly not even like that much of a model look. And I would email agencies to try to get signed, and like no one would see me. I went to every single open call, never got signed. So for extra money, I would email clothing companies and be like, hey, I'll come like model your clothes. And my first rate was $25 an hour. And then I would like bump it to 30. And then I became a fit model for this one brand, and at 30 an hour, and I did that for a while. Anyways, I saved up $5,000 or 3,000. I forget the number, 3 or 5,000, and moved to LA at 20. And that money went in 1 month, literally, because I got so many parking tickets. And because I didn't know how to read the Los Angeles parking signs, and got a restaurant job, hosted at night, um, went on auditions during the day. And at 23, so 3 years after I moved to LA, about 5 years after I really started pursuing acting, I booked my first role.
And I saw you talk about this on TikTok, where you said it took that, 4 to 5 year time span, which was 320 auditions before you booked your first role. So what is that like? What does that do to a person? I mean, not even that, just how did you even stick with it? 320 auditions, 320 no's until you finally got the yes. What is that experience like?
Yeah. I think this tunnel vision on a goal, right? Like, I knew there was nothing else I wanted to do. And little things throughout the years would keep me up, like booking a little commercial or like a non-union job or something like that. But there definitely was a point where I was auditioning so much and like getting callbacks, but I didn't even get a lot of callbacks. I think it's important for people to hear this. They think like they're auditioning for so long, but they don't get many callbacks. Like, that was me too. I would maybe get a callback, maybe get close, be one of the 2 girls. But for the most part, it was a lot of like silence. I think I always go back to my representation, which is an agent and a manager. And I think I got really lucky in the beginning. I did get dropped a few times and I had to let people go, but it was early on that I found my like dream team, and they were really supportive and they saw my potential. And so they gave me a lot of like confidence, and I was able to call them and, be like feeling sad or whatever. And they would kind of fill me with hope. I think hope is a really interesting word that has carried me through the last 10 years. Like, I never lost it. I continued to have this drive that it was going to happen eventually. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't take away the downtimes of like not booking for that many years. And I think just little wins got me through it. And then once I got the big win, I was like, okay, I know that I can do this. It gave me so much confidence when I booked that first TV role of like, okay, I'm not crazy. Because to actually book a network television show, so many people have to approve your audition and stuff, that I was like, okay, like 30 people just saw my tape it was an in-person audition, but they'll send that tape up to network that they film you with in the audition. They approved it. So like I know that I'm here for a reason at that point.
Right. Right. It wasn't just like someone liked your face and they're like, okay, cool. Like it was
Yeah.
a whole process, which is, I would say that's probably super validating for an actor to know, just to get that single yes is like, okay, I'm on the right track. I want to ask you, because you bring up the agents and whatnot, what does that what is that process like? Where do you need to have any credentials before getting an agent, or can you be like, hey, I just want an agent, like I booked absolutely nothing, I have nothing to show for myself, but I want representation? Like how do you actually go about getting an agent as a beginner?
Yeah, that was me with nothing to show for it. Times have changed a lot in 2024 than they were in 2017 when I started pursuing it. So, when I started pursuing it, there was a lot more projects being cast. Now, even though there's so much more content, it's very saturated. So, there's less roles that are going into the breakdowns for agents and managers to pitch you on. When I first started out, I was going out for leads and shows all the time auditioning. This year, I can count on two hands how many I've gone on. So times have just changed in general with AI and the mergers of companies, and Paramount Plus TV division just shut down. Like there's just so many business and political things that go into it that us as artists don't ever look at or become aware of. I just so happen to have a boyfriend who is like very interested in all of that and like lets me know certain things. And I'm like, oh, that's why I'm getting so little auditions this year. You know, it's not just like we're all doomed and the industry hates me. It's like there's just so much behind the scenes that we have no idea about. So back then I was lucky that it was that time where I was able to get signed. However, these days what I tell my clients, because I mentor actors, is we go through this whole stage of like depending on where you're at. But let's say you're beginner, right? The first thing I need you to do is like sign up for a local acting class just to get familiar with verbiage, what people are talking about that week, what your fellow actors are going through, reading scenes, reading lines out loud. Like, boom, get into an acting class. You'll meet a lot of people. You'll get a lot of questions answered that way. Then I need you to understand yourself as a human being, because what type of roles do you want to play? What can you play well, right? A lot of actors are like, especially actors that are less seasoned, and I am not a seasoned actor. I will always be growing and like getting better. I am very new in the grand scheme of things, but um you want to hone in on something that you're good at, especially if you want to try to get repped. Because if you, as an actor, you know, we all say like, well, I'm an actor, I can play anything, I can play everything, and I don't want to be put in a box. Well, you should be put in a box. You should at least be put in 10 boxes versus like 10,000, right? Because that is putting yourself on a platter to an agent and a manager and being like, hey, like, here's my niche, here's my type. Talk about business, you know, you want to niche down, you want to like, and it's not going to limit us. It's going to actually broaden us. And then we'll be able to get our foot in the door so we can have future opportunities and then start really using the other like abilities we have, I guess. But unfortunately, agents and managers and even sometimes casting directors aren't that creative. So they're not able to look at us and be like, oh, yeah, I can see you as a Marvel superhero. You have to really tell them, like, here's my quote type. So for
Yeah.
me back then, I knew exactly. I was like, I am your quintessential Vampire Diary, Lucy Hale, Nina Dobrev. Like, you know, I'm like, put me in that young adult CW box all day, mysterious young adult. Maybe it was a novel, you know, put me in that ensemble. And they saw it too. So, right, it's a little bit easier to kind of fall in line and agree when they're like, oh, got it. Young, mysterious, someone died in the town. Am I the bad villain? Am I not? You know, what's going on? So, that was me then. Now it's different. Like now I'm like Ana de Armas, 007. You know, that's like what I want to be playing. Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot vibes. So the next step I'll tell them to after the acting classes, I send them like a self-discovery worksheet and I'm like, okay, light a candle, get some tea, sit down, and it's it's based on acting, so it's like list your 5 favorite TV shows. What characters are you drawn to? Which characters do you see yourself as? Text 3 friends, ask them, "Hey, is there a character, an actor, a show that I remind you of? Like, how do people perceive you?" Digging into being very specific so that when you do have that meeting with an agent or a manager, you have something to talk about and bring to the table versus like, yeah, Hulu, yeah, I want to be on it. Yeah, so does everybody else. You know what I mean? So figuring out your thing. And then you get into your materials, which is your headshot, your resume, and your reel, which are essential in this start of becoming an actor, unless you're a Nepo baby. You need a great headshot. You need footage of you acting. Back in the day, you needed like real footage, and that was the tricky thing where it's like, well, where do I start? I've never acted before. I don't have a reel. Now you can put yourself on tape on a blue backdrop because our tapes are going so far now to network that agents and managers are used to watching tapes and seeing talent through that lens. So finding a scene that you think that you can really like thrive in and putting yourself on tape for that. And resume, if you don't have anything, you just need to, I send you a template and you just need to fill out what you can. Then you take that and you send it to agents and managers. And there's like a whole method there that I teach within my mentorship sessions.
Wow. It's so intricate. I also you brought up a really good point when you said how times have changed as far as like, casting, but then you also just a couple seconds ago brought up the whole nepotism thing. So would you say that that's a big reason too why there's not as much casting, because people just casting or directors or whatever, just they know already who they want for the role. I feel like there's a lot more creating roles around the person they want rather than just
Yeah.
creating a role and like seeking a person for it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think there's definitely that case going on. But nepotism is, that's like family, right? Is that the definition? Like
Yeah,
family.
like you're
It's,
like a nepo baby. So
yeah, like
like,
someone in the,
Haley Bieber, whatever. I was gonna say
exactly.
Baldwin. Like she's a nepo baby.
So yes, there's gonna be cases like that. Like I know Dakota Johnson is kind of known as one. Her dad
I
is very
named someone who is
famous.
not even an actor. Sorry, that was a bad example. But
No,
yeah,
no, no, no.
yeah, Dakota
No, Haley
Johnson,
Bieber is a
perfect.
good.
Yeah.
She's definitely Haley Bieber has definitively gotten opportunities because of her family.
Right.
Now, but here's the thing I say to that because people also ask me about networking, and I think these both of these can go hand in hand. So like networking as an actor and nepotism as okay, nepotism, sure, you are gonna get more opportunities because your dad's the director, whatever. But at the end of the day, remember what I talked about earlier, there's so many cooks in the kitchen. So like to be the lead in a show or at least a series regular top 10, top 8, that you still need to get approved by so many people or else the show's not going to work. There's a lot more money going into it than just like, oh yeah, that's your friend or you guys met at a party and mingled all night. Oh, you think she's hot? That's cool. She's not going to be in our project, sorry. Or like she can have the hostess job or whatever. But like and granted, I do only speak from my experience. So, like, my experience has been such a ground up approach of like really working for every single opportunity that I've had. So, don't get me wrong, I'm sure I probably could have maybe been like rubbing elbows a little bit more. But at the end of the day, I just truly believe, especially for these huge network shows, like, even take, sure, there's the popular like TikTok shows, but then you have like an NCIS or a Chicago PD or something, and like, those people are making real money and going 12 seasons, 22 episodes a season. It's none of this mini series, 8 episode, you know. And Dick Wolf, who creates all of those types of shows, a lot of them, the Chicago universe and more, they're not like, oh yeah, you know that girl, yeah, yeah, bring her in, like let's hire her. No, 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 you're going through a whole casting process everyone has to, like you and approve you. Directors are really good people to know. They make that last decision. So your point, yes, especially movie-wise, huge movie, yes. Ana de Armas gets the offer for sure. Dakota Johnson is attached to the project beginning. Lucy Hale is one of those, like a little bit less relevant now, but she's on a short list of like Sydney Sweeney. She's on a list where it's like, she's on a list for production companies where if you have a script and you can attach her, we will produce your entire movie we'll give you all the funding you need if her name is attached, and we'll pay her the money, 1.5 or whatever her rate is. So there is that, but Sydney Sweeney worked her ass all the way up to that position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that your goal, like to be that, like do you want to be like a movie star? Or I don't really know because I'm not in the industry, like what the difference per se to go from TV to movie, but like is that what you want?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Yes, but at the same time, I love TV. It's been on all my vision boards, like networks and specific big TV producers that I want to work with, Taylor Sheridan of Yellowstone. Like TV has become so cinematic that I would hate to rule it out in any way, shape, or form and be like, I really want to be a movie star. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
kind of want 7 seasons of a dope ass show that I'm the lead of, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. But speaking of the hiatuses and taking time off and whatnot, that leads to my next question, which is just, there is this off time when you're not getting booked, when you're not filming something. So for a working actor, what is that like? Are you picking up side jobs? I know it's not, unless you're like we said, the Sydney Sweeneys and the $2 million projects and you're super famous and glamorous, it's not all that glamorous. So you're,
Yeah.
for the most part, a regular person. What do you do during
Yeah.
that time off?
Yeah, it's definitely true. I think even me as a working actor, and like what those terms mean, in case people don't know, is like working actor means that it's just like it sounds. You are an actor, but you're working because you can still be an actor, but like you have literally never worked or maybe once a year or something like that. So like I am lucky enough to be a working actor,
Yeah, that's
even
like
with me.
half of LA or half of New York. Everyone's an actor, but they're not
Yeah,
acting.
exactly. Exactly. So I'm lucky to be a working actor. Even being a working actor, I have so much time off until I'm the lead I was the lead in a movie, for example, in March or May, a Tubi movie, and it only shot for 3 weeks. I was working every single day, including Easter, for 3 weeks straight, 14 hours a day. Didn't have time there. But unless you're doing that, you have a lot of time off. So when I did my first show, Siren, which I did 12 episodes of, and I was flying back and forth to Vancouver, Canada, I wasn't the lead in that show by any means. I was a recurring. And so I would go up there and film on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then they would keep me Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and film me Monday. And then send me home Tuesday, and then I wouldn't be in the next episode. So then I would be off for 4 weeks and come back. You know what I mean? So I had so much time off. And as a young person in your 20s figuring yourself out, you're like, ooh, this was supposed to make me happy. Like, why am I feeling a void? Why am I feeling like not motivated by this thing? And I was happy when I was on set. But again, so much time off. So during that time, I was like listening to a lot of podcasts and reading a lot of books, which is my favorite phase of life. I don't know if you ever went through that phase where like you didn't read books and then all of a sudden you discovered like every self-help book and every like self-help podcast and you're like, life is amazing. Like I'm
Yeah.
learning all these things and going on walks by myself in different cities and listening to Jay Shetty. And I got so inspired by like self-help and wellness and all of that. And I started hearing about how all of these and high performance habits. Like I was super into all of that. 5 a.m. Club is a wonderful book if someone hasn't read it, but by Robin Sharma. And I was seeing all these like high performers and these habits that they had. And one of them was a morning routine. And I was like, okay, what's this connection between like, Kobe Bryant and Oprah Winfrey. They both have morning routines. What is this thing that's going on? So I started like creating my own and doing my own. And that really started this journey of creativity for me outside of acting, or for whoever's listening to this, outside of like your norm or that thing that isn't like sparking you. And acting definitely sparked me. It's just I wasn't doing it 300 days a year. I was doing it for like 20 at the time. So I needed something else. So, what this quiet time in the morning did for me, this time and space that I created for my thoughts to come through and the universe to speak to me, it was so helpful and inspiring. And I got whispered so many different like ideas and things that would motivate me. And that's when I created my morning routine journal called Magic. And so after filming Siren, I didn't book for easily a year and a few months. And I had quit my job, my restaurant job, because I was making money commercially. I would book like a national commercial and make some good money, but I wasn't like thriving. You know what I mean? Like we were just barely getting by. And this year and a half off, no restaurant job, booked one commercial. So that shoots once a year. I had so much time, and started doing my morning routine. And I created the actual physical journal itself, which is the Magic Method. And Magic is an acronym that stands for meditation, affirmations, gratitude, intentions, and coffee. It was like this thing that I do every single morning. And I would write down, I would meditate for 5 to 10 minutes. Now I mostly read and like I'll do deep breaths and stuff, but I don't do guided meditations as much as I just don't go on my phone and make a coffee and read for 30 minutes, which to me is meditation in itself. And then so I've kind of changed the M to mindfulness. And then I would write 3 affirmations, 3 things I'm grateful for, set 3 intentions, have my coffee, which is a metaphor for taking action, because you can't, you can manifest and meditate all you want, but if you're not taking action, nothing's going to happen. So people started asking me about the journal. And so I created like a tangible journal, and that became my small business. And I loved it. And that filled me up for a really long time, because if anyone's ever started any sort of business or even doing your own social media business, you know how much time it takes and how many little things you have to create and little email campaigns, whatever. I was just like so busy doing that, and it was filling me up, that then I booked, of course, because I was like a whole human being versus this like desperate being that was vying for an acting role.
Yeah, you were like calling it in more than chasing it. And I think that just
Yes.
applies to anything in life.
Anything, anything. And now these days, I'm still doing magic, but now I've just expanded so much and doing like my acting mentorship. I'm creating an acting course, and then I also host elaborate vision boarding events that so far only take place in LA, but will be expanding.
No, that's amazing. And like I would imagine that it would be hard to just get a regular job as well, because you're getting booked, like, for example, we booked this interview for yesterday, but then you got last minute booked for a job. So like
Mhm.
an acting job. So, I would imagine that that would be hard for, say that you have a job where like other people are relying on you rather than just you having your own businesses, to be like, hey, I can't come in tomorrow, I actually got booked. Like, I would
It
imagine
is.
that that can't be easy.
It is. Yeah. A lot of my clients are like, especially if they're in their 20s, they're like, first of all, what do I do like on the side, right? Like, where do I go? I don't want to be in corporate. Like, I didn't even, maybe they did go to college, but they're like, what do I do? And I'm like, that's such a heavy question. I don't know. But the beauty of pursuing acting in 2024, 2025 is that everything is self tapes. So you could pursue a job in acting and have a 9 to 5, 100%. It just depends on what that 9 to 5 is and how taxing that it is for you. But you can absolutely have a job and pursue it in this day and age with self tapes. It just might be stressful for you. Um, But for me, I don't know how people like function. You know what I mean? For me, like I don't mind like hustling at a job and then having a tape due. But I also am not a single mom with a kid. So like everyone is going to have their own trials and tribulations. But it's kind of happy news. You can make it work pursuing a career in acting these days
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
while
Oh, I
working.
can't wait to see you get like a big, like, I don't know, some big massive role, and then like that's your thing. Like I'm so like, because now that like I got you, like I'm gonna be following along, like because now I know the inside. Like I don't really know anything about this. To me, it's like, you're Lydia from Tell Me Lies. Of course, you're an actor. Like that's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
it.
yeah.
Like, and so it's like that's as
Actors are
someone.
people too. We go
Yeah.
grocery shopping. No, I'm just kidding.
That's so funny. But like, like for someone who's just watching, you think like, okay, someone is an actor. They're making $1 million. Like, and it's
Mhm.
just not. And so hearing that whole journey, I think, is very important. And it's, first of all, it's eye-opening. And second of all, it makes you realize it's actually more attainable than people, I think, realize, to be able to follow that dream, because it's not like, okay, I need to drop everything and just like live in whatever, wherever. Like you actually can do more things with the self tape, with and have
Yeah,
your job and whatnot.
it's 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 attainable. It's really hard,
Yeah,
right? It's really hard, and I also want people to really like look deep inside themselves and like see if it's what they really want to do,
yeah.
right? It's not glamorous. It
Mm-mm.
is not glamorous. I act for free and I get paid to audition is what I say. You know what I mean? Like my day job is auditioning and being available for any and all auditions and putting my work into it. I have an audition right here that I have highlighted and taped, and I'm going to tape it later tonight, and I read the script and I memorized it and I took my notes. Like, so it's not this like easy glamorous thing. And also what people don't understand too is like I've think I've filmed like maybe 45 episodes of television under my roster, maybe 50. None of them have shot in Los Angeles. So think about all that travel. Atlanta, New York, it's wonderful. I love it. But I know so many people here in LA that are like, especially back in the day when I was younger and used to go out more, and I had model friends who wanted to quote act, and they'd be like, "Oh, but I have this audition, but I have a dog," and I'm like, "Uh, uh, "What are we doing?"
Get rid of
You
the
know what I
dog.
mean? But, like, you have to leave your family, you have to leave, you know what I mean? And so it's a
It's a
it's not for the faint
commitment.
of
It's
heart.
not it's
Yeah.
not just a job. It's a commitment. It's a career. Like it's
Mhm.
something that you have to be willing to make sacrifices for. But guess what? This can apply to any other sort of, business. How many girls want to be their own boss, and they want to start a business, and they want to do this, but
Yeah.
they don't commit themselves to it. They don't devote themselves to it. And when you start something like this, something that's can be extremely rewarding, whether it is acting or it is a business, something aside from just a standard 9 to 5 job, which could also be great because you could have benefits and a good pay and whatever. But aside from that, it requires sacrifice. It requires investments. It requires discipline. And it also requires your 100% passion to this thing. Like, I wouldn't do it because I don't want to. So, like,
Mhm.
for me, I could say, yeah, I love Tell Me Lies. I want to be on Tell Me Lies because I love that
Mhm.
show. But do I want to be an actor? Do I want to
Yeah.
travel and go through auditions? No. So if
Yeah.
I was getting denied and rejected left and right, I wouldn't stick it out because I don't have the passion for it. Someone like you who has gone through those 320 auditions and all that, you stuck it out because, like you said, you had that hope, you had that passion. Like this is what you saw yourself doing without a shadow of a doubt. And so I've talked about this. Everything you're saying is even if this is a different area, a different realm, because this is acting and we haven't talked about that specifically on this show, it's nothing different than what I've talked about with any other entrepreneur, anyone else
That's
who
true.
does their
Yeah, it's
passion projects.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah, like it is. Even content creation. All the girls want to be an influencer, but they don't want to post every day. Like, I'm sorry, this is what has to get done if you want to reap the benefits of the career that you claim you want. It's that
Yeah,
simple.
it is. And I think that if you are struggling with what that passion is, because I know there's so many things out there these days and things get so confusing, honestly. You just see you can ingest so much content in 25 seconds. And so that's why what I said earlier about like creating the time and space for you where like the phone is away, everything is away, distractions, and you just like make a coffee and light a candle and you can just either sit, or reading is great too. Like I don't find that as a distraction. I think I get really inspired when I read, especially if it's something on the self-help or psychology, anything like that. My mind, entrepreneurship, my mind starts to really expand. So like go on a nature walk. Like the science behind walking outside in nature is incredible. So if you're feeling lost or like you don't know what that thing is, or maybe you have been pursuing something like acting, entrepreneurship, influencing, and it's been years or you're not enjoying the process, take a step back and really look at what it is that you're doing and seeing if it's making you happy and if you can pivot in a way. Another tool that I love, love, love doing that I don't think is used enough is writing things down. Like not journaling, you don't have to stream of conscious journal, you don't have to date it, but like, dude, the amount of journals I have around the house, or notebooks call them, with to-do lists of like getting it, I like to call it a whiteboard, getting it out on some people hire life coaches and business coaches to just blurt out their to-dos and dreams and everything so that the life coach can like take notes and then say it back to you. So like if you can get something out and start writing, like, okay, for me, for vision boarding events like that I host that are quite elaborate and a lot to do, and like people get so analysis paralysis. Where do I start on this endeavor? What do you need to do? What are the steps, the little steps before the big thing, before the big screen, right? What are the little, oh, I need to sign up for an acting class. What is the to do under that? Google acting classes near me. Oh, I want to start a journal company. When I started Magic, people are like, how did you print those? How did you do it? Like, what? How do you even come up? Okay, well, first let's come up with the idea. Okay, I want cute notebooks. Great. Let's think about the designs in a second. I know I'm super creative. Let me put that on the back burner. How do I even do this? YouTube, Google, printing, China. What's the deal? Like, what do I, you know what I mean? Like little things. And I think that is the main thing Tony Robbins says you overestimate what you can do in 1 year and underestimate what you can do in a decade. Because in 1 year, we're like, "Ugh, well, I didn't get anything done. I didn't get anything done. I'm quitting on that thing." And it's like, tinker every day at this one thing. And in 10 years, you will have that dream built.
Yeah. Oh, every single thing that you just said, it like resonates so hard. It's things that I say on this show all the time. First of all, the to-do list thing, really, like, I love that you brought that up, because I always say, like, people put the big thing on their to-do list instead of the actionable steps that you can do. That is so, like, you could look at your to-do list and it could get you nowhere, because you could be like, oh, I have to, okay, let's use the journals. To-do list, make a journal brand. Like, that's not
Yeah.
to-do list stuff. Like, the to-do list is do the research, find a vendor, find whatever it is, like,
Make a call.
yeah, like
Fail.
pick up the
Send a
phone
weird
and yeah.
email. Send a weird
Yes,
email that makes no sense.
exactly,
On
exactly.
accident because you didn't know that you weren't supposed to email that part of the company, or you wrote it way too long paragraph. And
Right, 100%. And so, I think that people overcomplicate things, that those things, especially even just the starting points, like, that should be the simple stuff that just comes to you naturally. So if you're already struggling there, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's really figure out, one, what you actually want to do, and two, why you actually want to do it. Because if you want to do something just because Natalee does it and it sounds great and looks cool, that's not good enough. That's not enough of a why. That's not enough of a purpose and a reason. You have to actually have that drive, because say that they see that you're coming out with journals and they're like, how does she do it? Well, because she actually wanted to do it, so she figured it out. Like,
Mhm.
if you're sitting there just like so consumed with Natalee and less consumed with you actually starting the project, you're not going to get ahead. And so
Yeah.
I think that's super important.
And you brought up something good that's kind of juicy. Like, it made me think that if you're not taking action for so long, that's great. Can we nix out that thing that you thought you wanted to do? It's not what you want to do because you don't want to get into the process, which is the most important thing with actors. I tell them, you have to fall in love with auditioning. That is what we're doing 90% of our career. And then one day, if you're lucky enough, you will be Zendaya. But for the most part, you have to do all of this process of auditioning and all of that. And then you can get there. And so you have to like that. If that's 12 years of the 30, how are you supposed to get to the 13th, like the year that
Yeah.
you're scientifically going to book if you don't like the 12 years? You're not going to even energetically manifest it to begin with.
Yeah, your energy is just not going to be there. You're not going to be the right person for the job because you're not showing up as the right version of yourself in the first place. So I think that's super important. Speaking of auditions, I want to dive into a little bit more Tell Me Lies talk. I want to know how you landed the role of Lydia, what that audition process was like, and that came across your desk and what happened.
Yeah. I actually originally auditioned for Diana um, in 2021, I think it was. Yeah, 2021. I originally auditioned for Diana. The audition came through and I didn't think anything of it. It was just another audition because at the time there were so many. And I was like, great, wonderful, new opportunity, love the sides, which is like the audition. I don't believe I got a script at the time. Might have. But put it on tape, nothing happened. Then I would say 8 months later, in January of 22, my manager reached out. He's like, "Do you remember that thing that you auditioned for, Tell Me Lies?" And I was like, "I think so." Yeah, he's like, "They want you to audition for another role on it." And I'm like, "Wonderful. Like, if they bring you back, that's great. It means they liked you to begin with." So put that on tape. And then they're like, "Okay, cool. You're going to have a callback for it. Do the callback." And I don't think there were any notes or anything. It was just like we did it a couple times, which is also really good. And I think I taped twice actually for Lydia before that initial like Zoom audition. One time, and then I got notes, taped it again, and then um, did the audition in the Zoom. And then on, I think it was February 13th of 22, because I was on set for a Snickers commercial. And I got a call from my agent and manager, and whenever they call me at the same time, like it means something really good is happening. And I was like, what the hell? So they called me and they're like, you booked Tell Me Lies and you're going to Atlanta tomorrow for 3 weeks to film like the first episode. And I was like, holy shit. I was over the moon.
Wow, that's so exciting. Like finding out that you're going tomorrow, does that ever like freak you out or you're like just I'm ready to go?
I'm ready to go. I'm used to it. It is my full-time job. So it's great because it is my full-time job. Anytime that something comes up, I'm ready to go. Like I booked Chicago PD, I would say a month and a half ago. And the next day I had to get on a plane. Booked it on Thursday at like 11 a.m., had to be on a 6 a.m. Friday flight. So I was picked up by the car sent by production at 3:15 a.m.
Yeah, so you're
because
not even a full 24 hours.
not even a full 24 hours. Went there, went straight to a fitting and makeup test in Chicago. That was Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday, you have off. And then I started filming on Monday. And, like, for example, the other thing is, let's say, like, for example, I'm going back to Chicago, right? So those dates are like booked out for me. So it's as if you have a job and, like, I cannot work on those dates. I'm contractually bound to like those dates that they are already booked me on, which is like November 25th to December 12th or whatever. I can't audition for things during that time in case I book it. You know what I mean? So that's the only part where it gets jobby, where I'm like, oh, I can't work these days. But for the most part,
Right.
you audition, you book, and you're able to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Now, you said you booked and you were going to film the first episode, like, okay, the next day. Now, that first episode showed the future and the past. So, when you were filming that first episode, did you know that you were going to be engaged to Steven at the end, or were you just in the past? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. No, I had no idea.
Okay.
So I I did not know that I was going to be engaged to Steven until we shot that scene.
So was that the last thing you filmed?
No, so funny enough, I started filming. So blah blah blah. I get to Atlanta, go to a fitting and all of that, and then I'm waiting around like for like a few days before we start filming. And I knew that I was day one was like on a Wednesday, let's say. And so Tuesday, they're like, "Hey, we're gonna film a little bit of episode 10 tomorrow because it's filming at the same place as episode 1." They're like, "Just a scene," and I'm like, "Great, okay. Can you send me the script?" And they're like, "We can't send you the script because they don't send scripts like until a few weeks before that episode starts shooting." So I'm like, okay, yeah, just send me the scene, like the sides, like just this.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, okay, great. So I get the scene, da da da. I'm on my phone. I'm sure I opened it like immediately, not thinking anything of it. I'm just literally like thinking, okay, let me memorize my lines. And I'm like scrolling and literally reading it. And I'm like, mouth drops open. I'm like, no fucking way. This is crazy. And I was really excited, to be the plot twist. Like that was really exciting for me.
I just
Yeah.
got the chills though. Like you landed such an insane role. Like you were the plot twist. Like, okay, you see that, you read that, and now are you freaking out? Like, what is that feeling like?
The feeling is excitement. I'm like, I was just really excited. I was like, like you said, as an actor who's just really been trying for so many years and has booked, I'm on currently a great show. We just finished filming called Raising Kanan that I'm in 3 seasons of. So like I had been working and stuff. Um, but it's no matter what, it's so exciting. It's exciting to get the script for your episode anytime, no matter what is happening inside. It is like, what's the best way to describe it? It's like you have no idea what you're about. For example, I'm going back to Chicago to film an episode. I don't have the script. When that hits my inbox, I'm like a kid on Christmas. What the hell am I going to be acting in, shooting? What is it? Is it raining? Are we taking a jet in the scene? Like, or am I using guns? That's fun. Like, what are we doing? And then you start reading everything and you're like, oh, I'm going to jump in a pool. It's cool. Like, oh, I'm screaming. I get kidnapped. Oh my God, this is crazy. And then you start thinking about how you get to act in all of that. And it's great. So, like, for reading that. And then, of course, you're just like, oh, how did this happen? And everything. Your mind goes to so many different places. And as the actor that gets to like play it and like literally play like a kid play, it is like a dream.
Yeah. You get the script, but you're obviously alone. You're not like all together just like table reading for the first time of getting your script. So now, do you guys become friends? Like, are you talking to Grace and Jackson like, holy shit, Lydia? Like, or what is that
Hmm.
like?
That's a good question. I hadn't met anyone yet because
Okay.
we hadn't started even filming day one. I think day one was shooting the engagement scene of episode 1, season 1. And then we simultaneously shot the last scene of episode 10 of season 1
Right.
because it was at that house with all those
Right.
extras. So I hadn't met anyone yet.
So you guys are working together for the first time. Really not like, don't you have to like build chemistry first and stuff like that?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think. Where did Grace and I meet? I don't remember. I feel like it might have been before at like coffee or something. I don't know. But she's great and we've become great friends throughout. A lot of my scenes are with her. So, because, I'm not at Baird and stuff. So I've had some
Right.
really fun scenes with the whole cast, which is so much fun. We all have like a blast. But we hang out offsite, like when we're in Atlanta, dinners and game nights and stuff like that. So we build chemistry that way. But day one, no, they're not worried about like, do you guys have chemistry? You can always build that. But
Right.
they a lot of the cast met before I met a lot of people because they're in season 1, like they're in all the episodes. They got cast like 7 months before. I got cast a week before filming, you know? So also depending
Mm,
on the characters, like they have chemistry reads, you know, with
right.
yeah. So
Okay.
a lot of the characters did that.
Interesting. Very interesting. And you know what? It's funny because like you guys play your roles so well that when I do see these things, like whether it is, from a behind the scenes, a chemistry, I don't know. I've seen all the clips, even like the press interviews and just seeing everyone like hanging out like as people and not
Mhm.
as your role. It's a mind fuck for me. Like
Yeah.
you guys are
Ugh.
so talented and so professional that like you really embody like, and you know what I will say too that I appreciate as a consumer of this, as someone watching it, that yes, you've all been in things before, but no one is like just throwing Selena Gomez in the show just because it's Selena Gomez. So I'm like introduced to all of you for the first time. Some of the viewers may have seen you guys in other things, but I feel like this show is really like you guys are, to me, new on the scene.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have this, like, listen, I haven't seen Wicked, but to me it's like, oh, Ariana Grande is playing Wicked, playing Glinda. So
Yeah.
it's like I'm seeing Ariana Grande. Do you get what I'm saying? Like you
Of
get to
course.
be your character, not be Natalie, this celebrity. So like
Yeah.
I love that. And so
It's like
seeing you
Kim
guys off,
K
yeah, yeah,
in that one.
in
Yeah.
American Horror Story. So seeing you guys off camera as people who get along is interesting to me.
Totally. I totally agree. They did such a great job casting it. And yeah.
So now, do you have theories? Like, I know that you don't. First of all, you don't even know technically if you're going to be back for season 3. I could tell you that you're going to be because they would be like, "What? That'd be the dumbest thing ever." So, like, let's just say that you are, okay? Because you are. Do you have theories? Theories for where the show is going to go? Theories for Lydia? Like, what are your thoughts if you had to sum up what you think is gonna? And also, do you think that Lydia? I think Lydia is going to be in season 3 now. Now that that all has been like those loose ends have been tied up, I feel like we're going to see more because we need to understand how Lydia
Yeah,
and Steven even got together.
I know. I don't freaking know. I know it's not the answer you want. I think that they're way more creative than me, to be completely honest. I feel like anything I say, it's just like the twists and turns that they'll do is going to be so much deeper. I do take into consideration that, the girls I think are in junior year, right? So it's like they're still in college. So maybe it's something we meet outside. I'm in New York, or like I'm not on campus. So maybe the guys who have graduated now are back in the city, like working. Maybe we meet
Mm,
there in a more adult way. I don't know. Because it's not going to be at Baird.
right. Well, you have that scene with Steven.
We met at Baird for sure.
Right.
Yeah. We
Like
met there, but
you
how
see the
does it
wheels turning in Steven's head when he meets you, when you're like, "Oh, I'm going to see my brother," or whatever, and
yeah.
he just found out that Lucy and Evan hooked up, and then he sees you and you just see the
Yeah.
wheels turning.
Mhm. Exactly, exactly. So, I don't know, for Lydia, I think, like, there could even be more stuff that happened, right? There's so many years in between this. I think that's another thing that people forget. It's like what, 8 years? 10?
Right.
10 years. So, there's more things that could happen. Also, like, actually a little shocked how much people, and I love everyone's passion, but how much they hate. I think everyone hates every character, so I understand that, but like they hate Lydia so much when I'm just like, she's been nothing but a good friend to Lucy. If you take just them as freshmen in college, they're best friends, then she tells her boyfriend off because she punched her ex-boyfriend and she's excited to be there. She just cried at my house for an entire summer. And I had her back, had her back, had her back. Clearly, Liddy's a little bit more of the like, she's probably a little bit more aggressive in a way. And that's why she was like so down to go up to him and stuff. And in her mind, her brother is not doing anything wrong. She's only 20. What are you supposed to open your mind and really think like, ooh, is it a possibility that he raped? Like, no, she's not thinking in that way. So in this moment when she's 20, 21, or not even 21 yet, how do you hate? She's done nothing wrong yet.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, I get it. And I feel like if I were you, I would be like defensive of my role too because I know her. Like you know her. You
Yeah.
have the behind the scenes stuff. You know like what Lydia's thinking and feeling, and somebody watching is just like, because here's the thing. Everyone has been Lucy in this toxic relationship where even though they shouldn't be together, you want them weirdly to be together. It's intoxicating, it's addicting. So it's like you see that, like, you want to see Lucy and Steven together, even though they shouldn't be. So to see Lydia get the ring from Steven,
True.
it's like you ruined my
Ah, okay.
fantasy. You know what
love
I
hearing
mean?
it.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good
that's what
point.
I think. But I mean, I respect the creativity of the show so much that I love. Actually, wait. Oh my god, I didn't even think about this. I did not even think about this. I have a video. I won't be able to find it right now, but I have a video. So I got my boyfriend to watch Tell Me Lies. So I watched Tell Me Lies 2022, season 1 before I even met my boyfriend. And then, it came back now season 2, 2024. And I was like starting to watch episode 1, episode 2, and I'm like, fuck, my boyfriend has to watch this with me. So I got him to watch. We went back. I'm like, all right, let me hold. And then I went back and we watched season 1
Oh my
together.
God.
So I took 2 videos of my boyfriend watching the show. One was Steven and Diana coming down the steps from the party. Because that scene
I love that scene.
oh my god, that is my favorite scene to this day. Like, that scene did something to me. So I recorded him watching that. I'm like, I gotta get his reaction. And then I also recorded him watching when Lydia comes to the engagement or whatever it is.
Oh my
the
God, I have to
party.
see it.
Yeah, I have to find that video. And he's like, and everyone does the same thing. They're like, wait, who was that? Like,
I
everyone has that
know.
same thing. I think that that's the only thing they could have done more was add a little bit more Lydia in there. Like, you're in it, but a little bit more so that like everyone knows 100% who it is. Because I had to rewind it too, watching it my first time and be like,
Yes.
wait, why am I not picking up on who that is? But then,
Yes.
so with him, as soon as he watched it, I'm like, Lydia, Lucy's best friend. So like I was able to tell. So he's like,
You were able to
holy
tell him.
shit.
Yeah.
He's like, oh shit, he ends up with her best friend. Like, so I totally forgot about that. Yeah, those are the 2 scenes that I recorded him because I'm like, this
That's
is
hilarious.
epic. Like,
That you
epic.
No, I posted a TikTok once and I was like, I think it was my TikTok that's like over 1 million views now, that I shared my reaction when I read the script, what I shared on the podcast. And I said, I think it was that video where I was like, I wish there was a compilation of everyone in America's face.
100%. Like,
Because
that would
everyone
be
thought it
so
was going to
good.
be Diana, but also people weren't sure because it would be too on the nose almost if it was her. So I think people were like, what's it going to be? Yeah.
Yeah, and once he's like, he's not saying her name, he's saying like my fiance. Like, that there's gonna be like, I'm like, okay, is it gonna be like Pippa? Like, I don't know, like it's gonna be somebody. So
Yeah.
yeah. Another scene that had my jaw on the floor was seeing Pippa and Diana in season 2, episode 1, when Pippa
Yeah.
walks into the apartment and Diana's in the bed. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? So yeah, it's just one of those shows that just has. I mean, I've never seen so many jaw-dropping like plot twist moments. So
Right. They really do a great job at the twists and turns.
yeah, so I hope that there's a lot more of Lydia. Obviously now, like, selfishly, I'm like, yeah, I want to see more
Thank
of
you.
you. But
I
yeah,
love
I
it.
can't wait to see what happens. I'm sure that there's going to be another season, even if we don't know yet. I'm sure that there will be. And yeah, is there any other last little like behind the scenes things? Anything that comes to mind that you just think fans would want to know of the show? Because I know that my audience is going to like. They're going to be like, you should have asked this, you should have asked that. So just any last things that you think would be good for someone to know.
If you make it to 1 hour and 10 minutes, and I love you and you are an impressive individual. And you're lucky because I'm going to tell you a funny behind the scenes. So in
Ooh.
episode 1, season 2, Lydia and Steven are now it's the wedding party. it's no longer the engagement party, right? It's a new party. They're in the living room,
Mm-hmm.
and Bree is giving a speech, and Steven and Lydia are canoodling in the corner of episode 1, season 2. And they kiss, and Steven is kind of whispering in her ear and that kind of stuff. Jackson the whole time was saying, I just farted. And he didn't fart. He was just trying to make me laugh. And he's like,
So it's like real laughter.
yeah, I was like really, really laughing.
Are
And then
you
the
not
scene,
mic'd up when you're like in the background like that? Like, can he be saying like I'm farting? Like, does no
oh
one
yeah, he
hear
can
that?
say it. Even if they did, no one cares like that he would be
Oh.
saying that. But I don't think we were mic'd. If we didn't have lines, we probably weren't mic'd. And then in the scene where at the end where I'm holding like my brother's laundry, and I'm like at in episode 8 of season 2, I'm standing on an apple box. Like I'm standing higher on like this. So like every time we did action, I would have to like stand up onto this like tall thing because it was the angle. It's not because like of anything else. And then during that scene, I could not stop laughing for, I think it was because the apple box or something like that. And so him and I were cracking up during
Wait,
that
what
scene.
is an apple box?
Oh, sorry. It's like a brown box, but not like cardboard, like
A
a
wood box?
hard, yeah,
Oh,
to make me taller.
like a box that apples
Like
go
Tom
in.
Cruise. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I
I
thought
never
that it
thought of it that way.
I I thought no, I just thought that it was like an acting term, like an apple box. Like I didn't realize you meant like a crate of
No,
apples.
it is an acting like apple boxes crew, like the crew, there's apple boxes everywhere. Like, hey, we need 3 apple boxes over here, but I'm sure they get the term because it really is. But there's not, yeah, there actually is a hole in it. It is a crate, but they flip it upside down and it like it holds no, there's no hole in it. It's solid. But it's like they set equipment on it. Like, yeah.
And you had to stand on it.
Tom Cruise stands on apple boxes to be taller next to his female counterparts.
Oh shit. Why? How tall is Tom Cruise?
Very short.
Oh, whoa. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay. Oh wow, so the guys must be tall cuz you're 5'6". Like that's not even short. I'm 5'2", so like
Yeah,
like I'm
it wasn't
short.
for height. We were doing it because it was a weird angle thingy.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. There's got to be so many little things like that that like the viewers just wouldn't know. You
Yeah.
know what I always pick up on when a stunt double like stands in to do like a side thing, like a hug or something, and I'm always like, I'll say Lydia for example. I'm like, that's not Lydia, that's someone
That's
else standing.
funny.
You know what I mean? I pick up on
Yeah.
those things. That's funny. Oh my goodness. Well, this was amazing. We covered literally anything and everything. So I absolutely loved this. Anything new coming up for you? I'm sure there's so much in store. Anything that, the girls can be on the lookout for? Anything you want to share before we wrap up?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was really fun. Um, no, I'm on Chicago PD. People that watch it already know and they love like the comments on my TikToks are so funny. They're like, I was watching Chicago PD and I screamed Lydia at my screen. So like it's so much fun. But that's my latest thing that I've been filming. And then I love chatting with you guys. So like I have a website, nataleelinez.com, and it has some acting tools and stuff, like a free download on there. You can always email me, DM me. I also host events. So if you put in your email on my website, I don't spam. I don't have a weekly email. I'm not going to spam you with emails, but you'll be notified for like our next event or new products that launch or anything like that.
So you have a sold out event coming up. You have all these different things. When are we going to get you to New York? When are we going to see you doing events in other cities?
I know. I really want to do New York. A lot of my acting clients are New York because they're theater based and they want to know how to get into TV and film. So I have a little crew of people over there that are like, when are you going to do something here? But I want to do a vision boarding event in New York. It would be epic to do it January 2025, but that's so soon. But it definitely is possible. So either
Stay on the
follow one of
lookout.
us. Yeah, stay on the
Yeah.
lookout for sure, for real. Because they're really fun.
What's your social media handle so all the girls can follow you?
Natalee, spelled with 2 E's, no I, Linez. I was going to say at gmail.com. No, Natalee Linez is, yeah, just Natalee Linez.
That's it, guys. Do not email her at gmail.com. That's so funny. Oh, Natalee, this was amazing. I really appreciate you being here and taking the time. And this was a lot of fun. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Victoria. Bye, guys.